Good afternoon, everyone. As usual, I'm just going to give a couple of seconds to allow you guys to come in before we start the business of the day. But even as you guys keep coming in, how has your day been? This is actually noon from my end, and I was talking to my wonderful speaker this afternoon, and I got to understand that this is like 9 a.m. in California. We down here in Philly, it is 12. I really don't know the exact time in your own location, but hey, this is United States of America. It still remains the same country, the same culture, the same region, and the same everything. For those of you guys at lunch, those in the office, those caught up in traffic, how is everything going? Hope things are cool. I think we've got a couple of people on my list here. We'll just take it off even as people keeps coming in. Good afternoon once again and welcome. For those of you guys that are joining us for the first time, my name is Gagba Esahaya and I'm the training coordinator with the Temple Small Business Development Center. The Temple Small Business Development Center helps small businesses start and grow. We offer free one-on-one consulting and a variety of low to no cost webinars. We are proud to be part of the nationally accredited network of the Small Business Development Center, which has over 1,000 networks across the United States. You are here this afternoon for a webinar on Digital Marketing 101 for product-based business. A copy of the PowerPoint and a link to the recording will be sent to all the attendees. Being a webinar, once again, all the attendees have been muted. As usual, we always encourage you guys to drop your question on the Q&A or the chat box. Without further ado, today is indeed a great day. And please, I am very sorry because you may end up hearing some noise from my background. Some military are taking some training there, so pardon our disruption. Just like I said a few seconds ago, that today is indeed a great day. And the main reason why I say that is because I have a great speaker today. Without further ado, please allow me to welcome Alison, even as she takes over the floor for the presentation. Alison, you are welcome. Let's do this.
Oh, thank you, Garba. Thank you, everybody, for taking time out of your day today. I know what it feels like to have a small business, or you're thinking of starting a small business, and the mere act of taking time out of your day probably feels like an expense. You know what I mean? Like you're taking time out. Something I learned about a decade ago, because I understand that feeling, is you're actually making an investment. And you will not be sorry that you took the time today to join Garba and myself. We have a packed session. We're going to have an amazing training, and we're going to leave time at the end in case you have questions. All questions are welcome. There is no dumb question. And if I am going too fast, or I want Garba to chime in and say, "Whoa, slow down, Missy." so, so that's perfectly okay. And if you have a question, please put it in the comments and we will answer those at the end. Unless there's just a burning question during, then Garba will get my attention and we'll dive into that for you. So again, thank you everybody for showing up. And now I'm going to show up for you and we're going to help you grow your business. So I'm going to share my screen. There we go. Now, Garba, can you give me a thumbs up that everybody can see it? Good? Okay. All right. Well, welcome everybody. We're going to talk about creating a scalable marketing system that connects to your ideal customer. Now, I want to point something out here why this is important. So many people dive in and think they need they need to market, right? And they forget who they're marketing on behalf of and for, because it's not about you, it's about your customer. And it's not about every customer. You're not trying to talk to the whole world. You think you are, but when you really start distilling it down and you create a persona, who is that ideal customer? What you realize is your ideal customers are a small group. And that makes it a lot less overwhelming when you try to figure out how are we going to talk to them. So trust me when I say you'll remember ideal customer makes a big difference. So what is in it for you today to spend time with me and Garba. Well, we're going to make it easy to find you, to trust you, and to choose you before the sale. Makes it a lot easier, doesn't it? Makes sales easier. That's the whole point of marketing. So let's talk about the elephant in the Zoom. Most manufacturers waste time and money on marketing that doesn't grow sales. I see it with small companies. I see it with corporations, which you can imagine. Lots of time and energy spent maybe spinning your wheels or throwing darts. Let's throw some spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks, right? Well, I have this lovely friend here to show you you're not alone. We've all been there. I've been there. I know what it feels like, and it's okay. The good news is that we can change. We can help you level up and succeed. So fear not. Now, people talk a lot about digital. Why is it so important for your marketing system? And I'm going to keep talking about marketing like a system. So you might get tired of me saying it, but I'll be saying it over and over. I'm so sorry. Pardon me. So why is it so important? You think, okay, I don't need to add one more thing to my plate that I don't know how to do, but should I jump on the trend bandwagon, right? Like FOMO, fear of missing out. This is not either of those things. It's an essential part of growing your business, and it's going to do these two things for you: make sales easier and more profitable. That's the other thing that small businesses tend to run into. I have been there myself. You figure out after several years that you're actually paying yourself a nickel. And you think, why am I doing this? We're making sales, but I'm not really making money. So we've got to pay attention to those two things. And the way that we're going to help you do that is to be where your customers are. What does that look like? That is your hero state, right? It's growth. And that's what everybody wants, going from point A to point B. And we've got to know what those points are, where we're starting from, to know, how am I going to know when I'm at the top of the hill with my Wonder Woman cape on? How will I know? First, I've got to figure out what's getting in my way from climbing up that mountain and getting to my hero state. This is what I see the most. 4 things with all the companies that I've worked with today and that I have worked with over the last 30 years. There's no clear connected strategy. Sales and marketing are siloed. So you're thinking, okay, it's just me. I don't have a salesperson or team. I don't have a marketing team yet. It's just me. So how can I be siloed? It can be a mindset when it's just a one person show. And you've got to remember to bridge the gap, because marketing has to support sales, right? It's a component, and they support each other. Most companies are not measuring or adapting. Well, what does that mean? I'm not paying attention to my analytics, monthly, weekly, putting out fires. I get busy. I know what that's like, trust me. The thing that I have learned as a small business owner is you've got to measure. What gets measured gets done, and what gets measured grows. So adapting is the second part of that. You want to make sure that you make adjustments along the way, right? It's like fine tuning, or I like to think of it like a recording studio, and you've got your soundboard, and they're constantly making little tweaks and adjustments. Please do that along the way. Nothing is set in stone, and I call it evolving at the speed of culture. I think I actually got that from Seth Godin, so I cannot take credit. If you have not read any of his books on marketing, please go to Amazon or your local bookseller and get everything you can read from Seth Godin, Godin. Trust me on that. Anyway, the other thing that's usually missing is that a lot of business owners think marketing is still, it's nice to have, but it's not really necessary. It's an expense rather than an investment. So I would like you, if your mindset is that, to consider changing that right now, once and for all. Not because I am a marketer, but because I'm a fellow sister business owner and I have learned the value, even as a marketer, of investing in your business and in your customers. That'll come up later too. So, fear not, that sounded like a lot. You can retrofit your marketing and you're going to make it a system. You can get to the heart of your ideal customer and you can make sales easier and more profitable. I promise you. Now, if you're feeling skeptical, like this gentleman, this is Paul, stay with me and we're going to break this down into components. I'm a fan of visual. I like to see. Hopefully you are too. You can give me a thumbs up if you're also a visual person in the comments, and break it down into components so that we can understand it. Then it just feels so easy, right? Easy. That's going to keep coming up for you too today. So you're now competing on a global scale, whether or not you're in Philly or you're out here in California, and maybe you're just a local business. You're really competing, in effect, with the whole world. And what I mean for that is not necessarily for business, but you're competing for attention, right? You're competing to earn your ideal customer's attention. That's a very important distinction. Earning attention versus interrupting and hey, see me over here, and demanding attention. Big difference. So the old way of marketing looked just like this wheel. And instead of the word automatic, I would use the word manual. And it had less spokes, fewer spokes, right? It was slow, it was hard to measure, and it was expensive, quite honestly, or could be. Today's marketing is more automated if you do it correctly, and that means it's working while you're sleeping. That took me a long time to figure out as a small business owner. Thank God I did, and I'm hoping that I can help you learn it faster as well to grow your business faster and get you more good night's sleep, because we know how hard entrepreneurs end up working. So the important thing is that this is all connected, right? Digital affects everything. So digital just means you can take print and you can now put it online, right? You can be on social media. If all of these things are connected, your identity, where you are in the world, trade show activities, everything is connected. And I always like to think of it like this wheel and spokes. Now, one thing that we need to talk about up front, and if Kurt Anderson is on this, I think you all know Kurt, Uncle Kurt, as some call him. He will be laughing right now because I talk about something called the wee wee syndrome. And frankly, I think it's a content conundrum. And it's something that most of us either have suffered from or are suffering from. Now, what do I mean by that? Okay, this image I found about 15 years ago, and it made me laugh out loud because I grew up in Indiana. It was hot and humid. I had 5 male cousins, first cousins. We were together all the time, and I was always super jealous because they could run around with no shirt on, and I wanted to, but it wasn't really acceptable. So, and I remember watching them, right? They played a lot different than me and my girl cousins sometimes, and they were always just fascinated, right, with their own self, with their own navel, and they would make it talk like this little kid, and I would laugh. And when I saw this picture, I thought, holy crap, this is what we're all doing when we've got the wee wee syndrome. We're navel gazing. Look at me. Look at my products. Look how great we are. Did you see my warehouse and my trucks and my pallets of stuff? The thing is that no one cares. They care about them, not you. And so whenever you catch yourself, and we'll talk about how to figure out if you have the wee wee syndrome, you're going to think of this picture and the little boy, and you're going to laugh. And you're going to think, oh my God, I'm looking at my own navel. Stop it. So what is in it for them? That's what we've got to focus on in any marketing. So before you jump in and plan, I'm gonna start posting on social. I'm gonna create a new website. The difference that you'll find in this presentation and what you're going to learn today, everybody, is that I would like to encourage you to slow down just a bit before you speed up and really think about what's in it for them, your customer, the person you're trying to be of service to. So I want to encourage you to stop looking at your own navel and remember, they don't care about you, they care about them. So whenever you create a marketing piece, whether it's a social media post, whether it's your website content, whether it's your brochure or a phone script, maybe maybe you're trying cold calling. Answer these 3 questions. I promise you it'll make sales easier and connect faster. What's in it for them? Why should they buy this thing? And why should they buy it from you? Now, this is the cure. This is the cure for the wee syndrome. Flip the script. Go through your website right now. If you don't have one, that's okay. Look at any kind of literature that you have, or maybe it's your marketing plan or your business plan. I want you to see how many times you mention the word we. Most people do this exercise and then they go, oh my God, she's right. I've done it before as well. Okay, so don't feel bad. Go through the content and replace we with you and our. Sorry, let me rephrase that. We and our with you and your. It changes everything because now when I'm the viewer and I'm looking at your website, you're talking to me instead of talking about we, which is yourself. It's a pretty simple fix. So give it a try. I look forward to you can let me know afterward. You guys can email me later. I'm going to give you my info. Love to see if you find that you actually have the wee syndrome and how different you felt about your content when you flipped the script. So, second thing we want to do is make your customer the hero of your story. Donald Miller talks about this quite a bit in his book, Building a Story Brand. I also highly recommend it. I wish I would have written it. I'm a huge fan, and it makes perfect sense. Now, why do we want to make the customer the hero? Well, because if they can see themselves in your offering, they're going to relate to you faster, and they're going to see what's in it for them. And because everybody is part of a story, right? There's the notion that there are 7 stories that rule the world. Rags to riches, overcoming the monster, right? Think about it. Every movie you've ever watched, it's the same thing with business. So every customer, they're living their own story. And you have a story that you're inviting them into. You're going to guide them with a plan. You're going to show them their hero state. So if they buy your widget, what problem is that going to solve? And what does their transformation look like? What does their hero state look like? Show them, right? Those are the kind of pictures that you want to have on your website, in social media, is reflect them back to them. How you make it easier, faster, more fun. People leave that out a lot. Or more profitable for them. And then you want to close the story loop by showing them what transformation looks like. So remember, if you remember nothing else from today, remember, customer is hero, you're the guide, right? Think Luke Skywalker and Obi-Wan. Every hero has a guide, a mentor, and that is your job. So why does this make any sense whatsoever? Why do we want to tap into people's emotions? Because I love research, and I love things that are based on fact, right? Not fluffy ideas or, what I think or what I heard, but actual research. People make buying decisions based on emotion 90% of the time. I'm going to repeat that. 90% of the time. That's pretty close to 100 if you ask me. So why, if that's true, for years and years and years have we been marketing to the rational side of the brain with features and benefits and pictures of our products and pallets and trucks and our square footage and our salespeople and we. We're only tapping into 10% of the brain. So we're making it harder. So I want to encourage you to tap into their heart, right? That is how they're making the decision. And then they back it up with that rational side of the brain. So again, we're flipping the script. We're tapping into the heart of your ideal customer. Now, again, I like to talk about why. Why do we want to do that? Why does that make sense? Because emotionally engaged customers are 33% less price sensitive. Well, gosh, that makes it a lot easier, right? I'm not going to get nickeled and dimed on price all day long, which it happens, right? Unless you're the low cost leader, don't go down that alley because you're gonna run into a dead end really quick. Emotionally engaged customers are also 44% less likely to go to a competitor, and they are 300% more likely to recommend you. Word of mouth marketing is priceless. So I cannot talk enough about the power of word of mouth. You want to create fans that are so happy with you and their experience, right? What they got out of it. They want to tell everybody, hey, you know what? And I'm going to leave a testimonial on your website and on social and on Yelp because I'm so happy with my experience because it was about me. This is the power of not only being seen and heard, but felt, right? That's the getting to the heart of your ideal customer. So again, I know some of you are thinking, all right, I'm looking for digital tactics. Why is she talking about all this other stuff? I don't care. Because I want you to think about this is that slowing down before we speed up. This is all the parts that people skip. I did it in the beginning. So I can tell you how hard that I used to make it it made sales harder. Emotional engagement creates customer chemistry. Chemistry is that wonderful thing that happens between people when they're dating, right? You know, the whole dopamine high, it is a real thing. It lasts from 6 months to 3 years. And I figured out with my team over the last decade, that's the magic. That it's chemistry between people that changes ROI, which is just one thing, right? It's return on your investment, to ROI cubed. You don't just want to stop at investment. You want to also get return on innovation, on your thinking and your creativity, and return on influence, right? Think ripple effect, because you're building on everything at every level. And a ripple just continues, right? So who doesn't want that? Give me a thumbs down in the comments if you don't want that. You want to make sales harder. So, okay, before we figure out our digital marketing plan, this is that who we are being of service to that I was talking about earlier. We're going to create a customer persona. I cannot tell you how many larger companies that I work with, multi-$100 million companies, they don't have these created. It's all up here. Well, our customer is this kind of person. And as soon as we start diving into this, they say, wow, we haven't thought about this in a really long time. And we don't know what he looks like or she looks like. So I encourage you to create a simple customer persona. It doesn't have to look fancy like this one. It could be in a Word document, okay? Whatever works for you. It could be on a napkin. But I want you to create a visual. This, for example, is a real live distributor dealer persona from one of my clients. And we named him Dan because it's easy. And he's the middleman. He's the champion, right? And understanding what his goals are, his frustrations, his motivations. What kind of brands is he into? It tells you a lot about a person. Where does he hang out on social media? Is he everywhere? Is he a big LinkedIn guy? Is he on TikTok? Maybe. And if you say, well, how do I know? I encourage you to do this. Start with what you do know about your ideal customers. And then, second, ask them. Do a small focus group. It doesn't cost you anything but some time. You can do it with SurveyMonkey. I encourage you to do it with phone calls or in person. You will collect golden nuggets. It'll just be falling out of their mouth to tell you who they are and what they care about. And I always think about this line from the movie The Help, which is one of my favorites. And Viola Davis's character, she said, "No one ever asked me what it's like to be me." And I think you'll find if you ask customers, what's it like to be you? What's a day in your life like? It'll just pour out of them, right? Because we all love talking about ourselves, but we all want to be seen and heard, and we want to feel important. So trust me, ask them more than you make assumptions, because you all know what happens when you assume. You know that saying, right? Okay, so you've created your persona and you know who they are and what they look like and what they care about. Now, I want you to think about, how do you want them to feel? This is my favorite question to ask in a large boardroom with a whole bunch of suits. And I say, well, how do you want your customers to feel? You could hear crickets. And they look at me and they say, what do you mean? I said, well, how do you want them to feel? Right? So we created this graphic of the different phases of the buying cycle, because we're all in one of these phases and at different points with different companies or purchases we're considering making, right? So when somebody's in the awareness phase, they're open. They're open to learning about you. And we created this kind of timeline of activities or touch points, and there are many more, even than what we included here, of how you might be showing up when they're in these different phases of consideration. Evaluation. Is this going to be good for me? What am I going to get out of it? And then they purchase, and then they use it. Are you still nurturing them? Are they part of your email list? Are they getting a newsletter from you? Are they seeing you on social media? Talking to them, right? Still solving their problems and being of service. Because then hopefully they're going to repurchase, and then they're going to tell everybody else about you, everybody else that matters. Now, something I want to point out, most manufacturers, I work with a lot of manufacturers, so forgive me if I'm talking about them, but replace manufacturers with business owners. It's the same thing. Most business owners stop after purchase. Whoops. Look at all those opportunities after purchase that you're missing. So I want you to think about, do you want them to feel supported? Do you want them to feel excited? Do you want them to feel fulfilled? Do you want them to feel heard? Do you want them to feel smarter? Think about how you want them to feel. If you know how you want them to feel, then that is going to help drive everything that you say and do. Woohoo! We got there. The connected, scalable marketing system. This is what it looks like. So we're going to talk about how to build it and how to incorporate the digital. And I want you to see something here. This is very important. We figured out, my team and I, about a decade ago, that building a brand and a marketing system is a lot like building a house. And it's funny because think about it. You remember the Three Little Pigs, right? We've all heard that story a million times. I bet even Garba heard that growing up, right? So if your house is made of sand or straw, you've got a weak foundation. Think about the next time a strong wind or pandemic or election or fill in the blank. Next time that comes along, bye bye. Weak infrastructure. So, what we want to do is help you have a stronger foundation with strong roots so that you're blossoming and thriving even in a down market. And that's what we want to prepare for, right? You want to plan for the best, but prepare for the worst. So, I think the most important thing you can do is creating a stronger brand foundation. And think about that when you're planning a marketing system, which, by the way, doesn't have to be convoluted and expensive. And that's something that we can touch on here in a bit. So, real quick, and then I'm going to break these down for you. So, first, you want to do like a 360 degree view of your marketing system or your brand. And so don't be alarmed if you think, well, I don't even have one yet. I'm thinking of building it. Okay. This deck will be available for you. Follow this model and take a look at, what is your unfair advantage? The thing that really sets you apart and is of service to people that nobody else is talking about. Secondly, how you could boost your best channels and how you can shorten your sales cycle, make it easier, faster. The next thing you want to do, now that's the preparation. The next thing is the brand foundation. I want you to think about, are you a commodity or are you a specialty? And who do customers think you are? That's what's important. It's all about the mind of the customer, what people believe. So we want to make it easier to know you with a clear brand, right? A clear identity, a clear name, something memorable, short, hopefully, something that sticks with people, right? Think sticky. And you always want to think of yourself as a specialty. And when people say, well, we just sell, like I have clients that say, we just sell drywall. We just sell wood products. It's a commodity. How do we make that a specialty? Isn't that fluffy marketing? And I said, no, not at all. Think about water. Think about coffee. Coffee was a commodity. It was 10 cents a cup back in the day, way before me. How much do people pay for it now? It's no longer a commodity. It is until it isn't. So I want you to always think of yourself as a specialty. Specialists make more money, by the way, than generalists. So don't forget that. So 3, then you're going to work on framing, right? You're going to work on your marketing strategy. I want you to think planned versus haphazard. Most of us fall into the haphazard category because we create this plan and then we get busy putting out fires and then we get too tired and then we're busy doing our other side hustle thing and raising a family or whatnot, and we forget to go back and look at the plan and follow it. So I want to encourage you to follow the plan, be more proactive than reactive. This is how, when, and where you're going to interact with customers. That's what a marketing strategy is. And very simple. Now, the next thing you want to do is you want to build on your marketing strategy, right? How, where, and when you're going to show up. What are you going to say? That's content. Some people think content is merely everything that they see in writing, and that's simply not true. Content is everything that people see about your brand. So it's visuals, it's video, it's words that your salespeople or you, the salesperson, says. That's all content. So most people don't have a content strategy. They think, well, we're just going to, write some stuff and we're going to see if people bite off on it and go. And I want to encourage you to create a content strategy. This will mean that you're more proactively talking and showing up on behalf of and for your customers than in a reactive state. Oh, hey, we didn't plan. There's this seasonal thing happening or this trade show happening. Let's talk about it. That's reactive. Don't get caught up in that. It's a big time suck and it's absolutely draining for you. And I want to see you keep your energy level up so you can grow your business faster. So, a good content strategy makes it easy to rely on you because you're consistent. And one of my favorite sayings is consistency breeds familiarity, familiarity builds trust. And that's what people need to have in order to make the decision to buy from you. Now, the fifth thing that you want to do, once we've got this strategy for content, now we're going to create content. And you say, wow, this is a lot. I just want to employ these digital methods. I don't want to do all this other stuff. Trust me when I tell you, if you slow down and take just a little bit of time to put a simple plan in place to create your content strategy, again, not a long, convoluted document by any means, it can be very simple. What are the three main topics we're going to be known for? Oh, well, that's easy. I could come up with that. And it all stems back to what do people care about that we're trying to be of service to. So we're going to be known for this, this, and this topic. Okay, so make like a little mind map. Create the topic, and then start drawing little spokes out from it. Well, if we're talking about this, we could talk about this, and then this, and then this has to do with that. Before you know it, you'll figure out what all your content should be. And this is going to ensure that you're engaging with people and they're engaging with you versus being ignored. Because, truth be told, many, many, many companies are whispering. Nobody can hear you. You're afraid. You're afraid to put out videos. You're afraid to put out content. What if people don't like it? What if they make fun of me? What if my competitors? What if, what if? And the thing that I am here to tell you, I am someone who is not comfortable with video for years, didn't like my own voice, and I forced myself, as a marketer, as a business owner, I forced myself to take the leap and do these steps, right? A long time ago. But only as of the last couple years have I really embraced video, even though I still don't love it. It's a personal thing for me. It's my own. I'm getting in my own way. But what it's done, for my business and network, I can't even put a price tag on it. So I want to encourage you to figure out what you're going to say and where you're going to say it. Only then. Okay, now we're at the top. We're ready to hook up the utilities, people, right? Amplifiers. That is what your social media channels are. That's what your website is. And we want to focus on converting versus interrupting. There's a huge difference. I think the last thing I heard is people consume they see over 5,000 ads a day. And you think, that sounds like a lot. Think about it. You're on the radio taking your kids to school, there's advertisements. On your phone, social media feeds, email, TV, fill in the blank. 5,000 a day. And it's happening this fast. And your brain decides it's a judgment. You're constantly making judgments all day long. Mel Robbins talks about this. If you don't already follow her or haven't read The High Five Habit, please do yourself a favor. Follow her on Instagram, especially Mel Robbins. She's phenomenal. She's my hero, and I can't talk enough about the power of converting versus interrupting. The power of positive thinking, of pulling yourself out of self-doubt. I could go on and on. So the point is, though, have confidence in yourself and do these foundational things before you get to the amplifiers. Because what are those? They're simply the speakers. So before you can blast something, you've got to know what it is, and you want it to be substantial. So, and I actually should have gone through each one of these slides. I apologize. um, as I talked about them. But again, you're going to get this deck so you can go through it and you can email me a question if you have one. This is how you figure out where you're going to show up. This goes back to the earlier parts of the strategy that I was talking about. We created this periodic table of customer touch points. We worked on it for about 10 years and we trademarked it. And we took all the different areas or ways, touch points, places where you interact with people, and we broke it down into this scientific chart, right? The periodic table. And why did we do that? Because we were on this chemistry kick, right? If we're creating chemistry, well, chemistry is science. Science is believable, it's factual. We need to have a scientific way to look at all these touch points and figure out which ones we're using and where our opportunities are. So I'll give you a real life example. This is a periodic table that we did for a new customer. I actually worked on this project with Kurt Anderson. This is where these people were showing up, the touch points that they had active when we first met with them. So all the active touch points are in yellow. Then we went back through with them and said, now which ones of the touch points that are activated are really optimized? Which ones are working really well for you? You can see there's only a few green ones. And then they sat back and they said, wow, look how many are inactive. Why is that? Is this a problem? And we said, based on our knowledge of your company and our research of you, these are what's possible. So think about it. Excuse me. If you're showing up and in an engaging way, in a very optimized way, at all these different possible touch points, it'll be hard to miss you, right? It'll be hard to say no or at least consider you because you're in all these places where they are. And that's the other thing I want to talk about in a little bit is don't get caught up thinking you have to be on every social platform. You have to be, you don't. I want you to focus, start with one, but think about be where your customers are. If your customers are a very young audience and they're on TikTok, I encourage you to figure that stuff out. It's very important. Okay, we're going to fly through these because I already went through them with the larger. All right, so now I want to be mindful of time and I want to end a little early here in about 10 minutes and make sure we have time for questions. So this is the digital part. So now that you have that strong foundation and you know who you're talking to and what they care about and how you want them to feel and where you're going to show up, now is the time to take a look at one of your major digital assets, and that is your website. So with the website, you want to focus on content. I will never stop talking about content. It's the most important part. It is the substance, right? Think about if you bake a really beautiful $1,000 wedding cake, and I think some of them are way more than that now, which blows my mind, but a really expensive cake, and you use crappy ingredients. How good is the cake going to taste? It's going to taste like crap. Nobody's going to want any more. So I can't talk enough about the substance of your website is that content. Avoid the wee-wee syndrome for sure. 2, you want to focus on user experience. People talk about that a lot, and I was like, I remember thinking UX. What does that really mean? So think about how you feel when you go to someone's website. First of all, do I feel like you understand me? Do I quickly in 5 seconds can I figure out who you are and what you do, how you're going to help me solve my problem? And is it easy to find things? Is there a healthy search bar? Does it pre-populate the thing I'm trying to find? Is there, how many clicks does it take to get to the information that I need? Did they make it easy for me right there on the homepage? Or do I have to click and click and click to finally get to the thing that I care about? So think about that. User experience is very important. Again, it doesn't, fancy bells and whistles are way less effective than you think. Really good content and an easy site, that's what people care about. And they're going to remember that because it felt good. Three, you want to have calls to action at every step of the way. I cannot tell you how many people leave this out. Somebody wants to be guided. Okay, so once you tell me about this part of, let's talk about the first third of your website. What's the next thing you want them to do? There should be a call to action. Then if they scroll down here and they read this part, or they want to, do they click? Do they explore? Do they want to subscribe? What is the thing that you, so guide them at every touch point with a call to action. There should be a minimum of one on every single page. So I encourage you to do that. Four, make sure you have a really strong, unique value proposition smack dab on the front of your website in the top third. You're inviting them into a story. So if there's no unique value statement, don't make it, it's not a mission statement either. Make it simple, easy to remember. And look at some other companies for great examples. Like, I was thinking of one the other day that was so extraordinary. And I'll give you an example. For Felt, ours is less marketing, more sales. And you're like, that seems very simple. Can it be that simple? And it's like, yes. Because guess what? Most people don't want more marketing, they want less. So our philosophy is, let's do less marketing that's wasting time and money, and let's get more sales faster, because that's what clients care about that come to us. So it can be very simple, but make sure that it's present, front and center, and somebody could in 5 seconds go, I want that. They're going to do that for me. And then you want to have a lead generator. You want to make sure you have a free download, something that you're giving, right? Give them an evergreen kind of one pager that's maybe going to solve the 10 problems we solve for CNC shops, the 17 ways. So actually, I think we created one that was very popular, the 17 problems we solve for manufacturers. And it's a free download that we've shared on LinkedIn and we've shared in lots of different places. So remember, to have a free lead generator, you want to collect their email address. That is your most valuable marketing asset, by the way, because it is algorithm resistant, meaning you control how often people get sent something. You can monitor who opened it, who unsubscribed, which is fine, by the way. They're not your people. Who opted in. It is a powerful tool that I don't want you to ignore, is that email list. Second big digital item that people forget about, and Kurt Anderson, I'm sure, has talked to you about this before, search engine marketing optimization. What does that mean? It used to confuse the heck out of me. So I'm not going to go through every step here because you're going to be able to download this PDF. You want to focus on your keywords. Make sure that your site is keyword rich. What that means are the keywords that your audience would be searching, because that's going to help the web crawlers bring you higher up when people are doing an organic search. That's all that means. Campaign structure, you can do ad campaigns through Google. I encourage you, before you start spending money on pay-per-click, that you do all the other stuff that we've talked about first, or reach out to someone like Kurt who can help you break this down and make really good choices. I know he's a fan of spending less on very generic keywords, because then you're competing with just too many million results that are going to show up. And it's just like a losing battle. So get very specific and be very wise about how much you spend on pay per click and decide ahead of time, is this really going to move our business? The answer may be yes. I don't want to detour you, but I want you to think about it and consult with somebody like him before you jump in without a plan. Content is king. Substance, consistency, optimizing with tags and headings, using proper hashtags. Um, I can't say enough about all of that. And there are free tools that I've listed here that you can use. Keywords FX, keywordtool.io, keywords everywhere. Do a little research. You'll thank me later. It helped me a lot, and I've witnessed how it helps clients when I bring Kurt in to do that. And here's that email list I was talking about a moment ago. People go, well, isn't email dead? Isn't print dead? Oh no. I'm here to tell you, not at all. Email is alive and well. I used an example from our newsletter that goes out every other Sunday. It's called WTMFG. I think you can figure out what that stands for. You know, it's like, what the heck is happening in manufacturing? And this is the manufacturer's newsletter with heart. So again, I'm leading with something a little surprising in the manufacturing industry, which sets us apart. This isn't like any other newsletter you get. And like Ann Handley, who is the queen of content from Marketing Profs, if you are focusing more on the news than the letter, you may be missing something, an opportunity. So I took her advice and we focus more on the letter and we make it very personal. And that's the other thing that is to your advantage with email. Don't be spammy, please. People will dismiss you faster than, they can blink. Make sure that when you email somebody, you have earned their attention to opt in, that there is a reason this is such good content that they would want to keep it, share it, or comment back to you. Think about that. It's a tall order, but it's worth putting in the extra time to make sure that what you're sending out is quality, is that substance that we were talking about. And I've listed a number of other things that you can focus on with your emails, and this ties back to your brand, right? What's your style? What's your voice? What's your tone? Are you consistent? Do you send out an email when you have time? I've been guilty of that. Or do you say, hey, we'll see you back here in 2 weeks on this date, you can count on it. And trust me, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of effort, it's a lot of commitment, but it pays dividends. So please be consistent. And again, that just goes back to your strategy and your level of commitment to the people that you're trying to serve. And the other thing you want to do is make sure you track conversions, open rates, click through, so many things you can analyze. And I listed a whole bunch of ways that you can market through email. So again, I don't need to go through all of them, but there's a whole list. So if you're unsure, I've given you a whole bunch of ideas. And the last thing is social media, right? It's usually the first thing people want to jump into, but I encourage you that before you dive in, do all this other stuff first so that when you're coming across, there is a consistent identity, right? There's a consistent message. There's a voice, there's a personality. Kind of like, think about Target. Before you ever see their logo, you know it's a Target commercial. That's what I'm talking about with personality, voice, tone. You want to build trust faster, and that will make sales easier. And then you want to make sure you analyze and adjust along the way to change your social media as you go. Don't just set it and forget it, and make sure that you're engaging. So this is what the connected system looks like. I know we need to wrap up here. I want to make sure you're not just seen and heard, you're felt, and that you're growing. And that's the whole reason that we do all of this. So if you want to stay connected, I'll include my information in the PDF. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you, everybody, for spending some time with us today. I want to thank everybody at Temple and the SBDC for all the hard work that they do for each of you. They care deeply and they're very committed to your success. And I am just grateful to be part of all of this and to get to spend some time with you guys.
Thank you very much, Alison, for a wonderful presentation. Now, to my wonderful attendees, I did told you guys from the onset that today is indeed a good day. And the reason was because we have a great speaker, and I told you guys that everything would be cool. And of course, me personally here, I can attest to it that, the presentation was superb. But just a quick one before we wrap it up for the day, Alison. I think most of the questions that actually came up on board were questions on are they going to like have the slide?
Oh, hold on. The connection's. Am I frozen? Let's see here. Let me switch. Can you hear me?
Alison?
There we go. Okay. You were frozen. Maybe I was
Yeah.
frozen too. Can you repeat the question?
Okay. Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes. Oh no. Why are we having trouble?
PowerPoint and the link. And I was like, you've actually answered those ones. One that has to do with Uncle Quick Kirk. I don't know if you can see it.
Let's see. Is it in the Q&A or the chat? Oh, am I frozen? I'm not sure if I'm frozen or if you can hear me. Uncle Kurt is Kurt Anderson, and you can get his information through Temple SBDC. There we
It's,
go.
the internet is something else today.
All
You know,
good. All good.
yeah. Um, what was I saying? Yeah. Linky G. Lini G. Sorry if I don't pronounce your name. My bad, please. The person was asking of Quick.
Yeah. Now I was saying Kurt Anderson, you can find him at B, the number two, B, tail.com. B2B tail. He also is the wonder who set up all of us speakers to work with Temple. And he is the SEO man. So I encourage you to reach out to Kurt Anderson on LinkedIn as well. He's very active and very kind.
Yeah, I can attest to that.
Yeah.
Okay. I think because I can see from my list here, sorry, from the attendees list. Okay, now we have a question from Charles.
Oh, I see. Yes, you want to make it easier to find you, to trust you, and to choose you. And so if you keep that in your mind at all times, it's a winning formula. Because first of all, they have to find you, right? So you have to be noticeable in where they are. They must trust you in order to choose you, right? We all make a little choice, even if it's a simple purchase of a pack of gum. You make a decision to trust that gum is going to be okay to put in my mouth. It's probably going to taste good, hopefully. If not, I won't buy it again, but I'm going to give it a try. So it depending on if it's a large piece of equipment or a little tiny pack of gum, they need to choose you and trust you. Sorry, trust you to choose you.
Okay. Um, just a quick one because this is actually we are far ahead of behind time. This goes to my wonderful attendees. I just posted a 30-second survey about today's webinar. Remember, we at Temple SPDC, we always cherish your feedbacks, even as it helps us to improve on the services we provide to you guys at a low cost. So please kindly take 30 seconds of your time to help us to fill out the survey uh, link about today's webinar. Uh, Before I finally wrap it up, I just want to say thank you guys for keeping it a day with us. Listen, thank you for a wonderful presentation. Thank you once again. Thank you once again. And finally, thank you. Do have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.